Hey, welcome to BuQeye Barbecue. As far as I'm concerned, there's nothing like a prime rib roast to serve around the holidays. So we're gonna get one started today. Thanks for joining us here at BuQeye Barbecue, and let's go. Okay, so this is our prime rib roast. So it is truly a prime rib. Many people will refer to a prime rib when it is just a rib roast, honestly. To be a prime rib, it has to be prime, and this is prime grade. I did get it from Sam's Club. It looks beautiful. A couple things I noticed is the fat striations, and I love the spinalis here. Big, thick spinalis on either side. Sam's has it tied already, which is nice because it'll hold it in a nice uniform shape, and it will let it and allow it and help it to cook evenly. So I was going to say we're dry aging this. We're really not. Dry aging involves a chemical process, very complex in chemistry within the meat, but we are going to dry it out and we are going to age it for a little bit. So what I have is a piece of cheesecloth, and I'm just going to unfold it. And by the way, I've got a tray with a what I call a chicken rack underneath it to allow the air to flow around the roast. And we're going to put our cheesecloth down. This is just cheesecloth that you can get at any grocery store. Oops. And we're just going to wrap it up. Nothing special, no special way to do it. We just want to wrap it in the cheesecloth to allow the roast to breathe. Air can penetrate. There we go. So this is going to go into the refrigerator just like this for a week. In this case, it's probably going to go in for 8 days. I think I'm going to cook it 8 days from now. So we're just going to let this do its thing. I want to get on the record right now that this weighed in at 4.7 pounds, and that's going to be important for when we take it out of the refrigerator, because we are going to actually compare what it weighs after being in the refrigerator for the next 8 days to what it does now. So currently 4.7 pounds. By the way, there are no bones on this one. I do like them to have the bones, but this is all that the store had, so I went with it. And we're just going to let it do its thing. Going to get it in the refrigerator, and we will be back in 8 days. Okay, so it's been 1 week since we wrapped our prime rib roast in cheesecloth. So I'm just going to unwrap it. And we're going to just use this tray with the rack in it. So this is exactly what we're hoping to see. Definitely dried out, concentrating the beef flavor there. Got a little bit of cheesecloth stuck to it, which we'll want to get off for sure. There we go. So notice how that looks. That dry pellicle on the outside. Again, exactly what we're looking for. Sometimes there's some places you want to cut off. For this, I think it's fine. Look at that beautiful underside there. You know, this was 4.96 pounds when we started. And you know, I think I'm going to weigh it because I want to sort of make the point, kind of the reason we're doing this. So sorry for this little bit of a delay. I didn't think about this beforehand, but I definitely think one way. So this was 4.96 pounds when we started. Let's change 2 pounds. There we go. All right. And we're just going to put this on the scale. And it is now 4.336 pounds. So we went from 4.96 to 4.33. So that would be half a pound almost. not quite half a pound that we've lost, more than 6 ounces. So that's the point, right? Concentrating that beef flavor by giving up that moisture is exactly what we're looking for. So we're going to go from here. I have my knife out, but I don't think we need it. Sometimes there are places you want to cut away, but to me this is good. So what we're going to do now is I have some avocado oil that I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit on the outside, and we're going to rub it all over the outside. We don't need a lot of oil, but we just want something for our seasoning to adhere to. Again, we got rid of a lot of moisture in this piece of meat. So what you would normally just pull out of the cryovac and it's moist enough to add your seasoning to is not the case now. So we will add just a little bit of a neutral oil, in this case avocado oil. You could use canola oil or something like that. That would be totally fine. I'm kind of on an avocado oil kick these days. And to season this, we're going to use the Killer Hog steak rub. It's sort of a Montreal style, maybe not quite as coarsely ground, but still a little bit coarse for sure. I like it. It adds a great seasoning to beef. So we're just going to sprinkle that on the outside, and I'm going to do the underside first. Kind of press it in, and on this side it's a little bit tougher because it's where the bones were, so it's uneven. We'll do the sides next. And this isn't the biggest prime rib in the world, but it's big enough, and it can certainly take some seasoning. So don't be afraid to season pretty liberally. So interesting, I told you in the last video clip that, you know, not all prime rib is really prime rib, because it's not all prime. It's only prime rib if it's graded as a prime piece of meat. Well, that was according to Alton Brown. But if you watch the Bearded Butchers on YouTube, and if you haven't, I would encourage you to do so. They are a butcher shop out of Northeast Ohio, and they have some great content, and they teach you a lot about butchering the animals and the cuts of meat. I really like it. But according to them, a rib roast is a prime rib simply because it's cut from the primal part of the animal. And according to them, it is a prime rib simply for that fact, and it doesn't necessarily have to be graded prime. So I don't know who to believe. Everybody's got an opinion. I have a feeling one of those is right versus wrong. Doesn't matter to me. Either way, this is a prime graded rib roast, so it is a prime rib, however you want to call it, a prime rib. So there we go. Now we're going to let this dry brine in the refrigerator. I'm guessing 3 hours or so from starting to cook this. So we'll just let it self-marinate with this seasoning on the outside, and we'll come back and cook it. We are going to cook it in the Fast Eddy's PG 500 pellet cooker by Cook Shack. This is a cooker that I've just gotten recently, so looking forward to doing that. And we'll talk a little bit more about the cooking process when we put it on, so we will see you soon. Okay, so we've got Eddy fired up here. I'm running her about 225-ish. So we're gonna cook slower until we hit around 110, and then we're gonna fire this thing up to 500 or 600 degrees and roast it at the end until we get to around 130, which is sort of the happy medium for my family. I could certainly go with 125-ish, but 130 usually works for us with beef and beef roast. So that's what we're gonna do. So I've got the roast ready to go. It's been self-marinating in the fridge with our seasoning, and I'm gonna go ahead and leave it on this little rack, what I would call a chicken rack. And I'm just going to set it in the middle of the right side of the cooker. Something like that. And then while I've got it open, I've got my ThermalWorks Signals probe that we're going to bring in, and we want to measure right dead center of this. So, phew, smoke's getting me. There we go. So that'll give me a good idea of where we are as far as temperature, and I'll always double check it with my ThermaPen 1 just to make sure. Spent a lot of time on this piece of meat. It wasn't, I wouldn't call it expensive, but it wasn't inexpensive either, so we definitely want to cook it right, and getting to the right temperature is critical. So we'll close these doors now, and we're just going to let this go. I'm guessing this is going to take anywhere from 3 to 4 hours by the time we're done. So we may bring you back in the middle. I'm thinking about doing a mop sauce. I haven't quite decided yet. Either way, I think it'll be delicious, so we'll see you soon. Okay, we are exactly 2 hours in, I believe. We're running about 75 degrees internal on the rib roast, and the cooker's running anywhere from 210 to 230. So it's really running rock solid. Happy with that. So we're just going to take a quick look. Not going to be a lot to see, but all right, getting some nice color. I don't know how well you can see that. Let's try to zoom in just a little. I do have a light to shine in here. It's still light here, but it's I'm doing this in my garage because it's raining outside, so I've got the cooker half in, half out of the garage. But it's looking great. Color's looking great. I'm going to get this closed up pretty quick, but I just wanted to do a quick check. I think I've decided we're going to do some asparagus with this tonight. I might do it out here on the cooker, and if so, we'll include it in the video. So look for that, and we'll be back soon. Okay, so we're going to do some asparagus tonight. The prime rib is just over 80 degrees. And it's going up faster and faster, so I'm going to go ahead and get this started. And we're going to start with a pan of bacon, kind of chopped up, and we're just going to get it over the heat source in there and let it start to come to temperature and render. Just a half a pound of bacon that I've cut up into lardons, if you will. So we're going to let that go, and we'll come back and continue this process. See you in a few. Okay, so our prime rib is running about 97 degrees internal. Cooker is about 250 internal right now. Bacon is rendering in our cast iron skillet, so I'm going to go ahead and add about half of a medium-sized red onion. And I did add a little bit of avocado oil to this too, just to get a little more oil in the pan, maybe a tablespoon. Didn't measure. And I'm just gonna mix that around a little bit. I want to get this door closed pretty quick. There we go. And we'll let that continue to brown, caramelize that onion a little bit, and we will bring you back. Okay, we're gonna stir around our bacon and onion. It's rendering and cooking nicely there, and I think we are now ready for our asparagus after I have a drink of Modelo. Gosh, I love this beer. I used this in a beer cheese video yesterday, and it was perfect for beer cheese. You got to check that one out. All right, so I'm just gonna dump my asparagus in there. That's probably about a pound of asparagus that I've just cut into chunks. And we're gonna let that go over the higher heat for a minute. go. So I'm going to let that go for a minute. In the meantime, I'm going to turn up the temperature on the cooker to 500 degrees because we're going to start to roast that prime rib. And it's amazing how fast that heat drops when you open those doors, as you can imagine. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it up. And right now on the prime rib, we are at about 105 internal. So actually, I thought we were closer to 110, so I might actually wait for a few minutes to turn that heat up, but we're going to be doing that soon. So in a few minutes, we'll bring you back. We'll get that asparagus pan moved and get the heat turned way up for roasting. So we'll see you in a minute. In the meantime, more Modelo for me. Okay, so we're going to get this asparagus moved. We're going to turn up the heat in the cooker. Stir this asparagus around. You can smell the bacon, onion, and asparagus. I love asparagus anyway, but you know, I'd probably eat this bottle if it was cooked with bacon and onion. Alright, now we're going to move this up to the top rack. Our prime rib, by the way, I did turn it once just for even cooking. No real reason beyond that. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it again. I hope you can see that in there. It's really looking good. We're gonna get these doors closed. We're gonna get the cooker up to roasting temperature. We are just over 110 now. Probably gonna give it to about 112, 114, and then I'm gonna crank the Fast Eddy's PG 500, the Eddy George I'm calling it, up to about 500 degrees so this prime rib can really roast on the outside while it gets up to our desired temperature of between 127 and 130 for us. So we'll be back. Hey, I forgot one thing and you didn't remind me. I'm gonna grab this asparagus and I'm actually going to Cajun this up just a little bit, and we're going to use a little of the Meat Church Holy Voodoo. Really good Cajun seasoning, not too spicy at all, nice flavor. So we're just going to add a little bit of that, and then mix around again. Bacon looks great. This was thick cut bacon, which I like in something like this. You certainly don't have to use thick cut bacon. And now we're going to get it back up top and just let it roast up there. Remember, the heat in this cooker, if you watched my tour video of this cooker, will go up, over, around, and down because our smokestack, our outlet, actually opens up down below the grate level. So, all right, we'll be back soon. Okay, we've got the pit cranked up to 500 degrees. The internal temperature of the prime rib is 117. I'm gonna give the asparagus a little stir around. Looks great. I don't know if that's showing up very well, but I love the way that's looking. I'll let that go for a little bit longer. And I'm going to turn the prime rib one time there. And there we go. So we're going to let this roast. I will probably take the asparagus off very quickly. I won't bring you back for that here in the next few minutes. And we will bring you back when we remove the prime rib. We'll see you soon. Okay, we're going to pull this prime rib now. It is sitting at 126, almost 127, and I did verify that with my Thermopen 1, which I always do, just in case. So I've got a tray here. Hope you can see that. It is absolutely gorgeous. So we're going to get this inside and get it on the cutting board. and then we're going to tin it loosely with foil, very loosely. And we'll bring you back probably in the next 20 minutes to slice her, so we'll see you in a few. Okay, so this prime rib has been resting for about 30 minutes. I tinted it with foil. The only other thing I've done is I went ahead and cut the strings off so they didn't get in the way. Otherwise, we're gonna slice. Good excuse to use my new slicing knife, which I've not used very much. And I'm just gonna cut it right down the middle and we'll take slices from there. So let's see how it looks. Wow, that is perfect as far as I'm concerned. I hope you can see that on the video. So let's go ahead and just cut a slice. This slicing knife from Dal Strong is awesome. They ought to pay me for that statement, but I bought the knife myself. So I hope you can see that. It's beautiful. Everybody's ready to eat here at our house, so I'm gonna go ahead and try this on camera. So we're gonna stop and come back in just a minute, cut a couple of pieces of this, and we'll give it a try. Okay, so we're gonna give this a try. I've just got this slice pulled out. I'm gonna cut a couple of chunks out of it. And I'm gonna try a couple of different bites because we have our horseradish sauce here that I definitely want to try. So I'll just try a first bite just by itself. It's so good. Perfect doneness. Very, very moist and tender. I think everybody at home is going to love this. So I'm going to take another bite and we'll try our horseradish. There's something about a horseradish sauce on beef I just love, especially prime rib. So we'll give that a try. You could eat this without the horseradish sauce, but the horseradish sauce is so good too. I love that combination. And real quick, we'll go ahead and try our asparagus since we cooked it on camera tonight. Really good. Of course, if it's cooked with bacon and onion, I could eat just about anything, but this is really good. All right, my family is starving. It's a little bit later than I wanted it to be to eat tonight, so we're gonna get out of here. But thank you as usual for joining me here at BuQeye Barbecue. Perfect holiday meal. Just to recap, we wrapped this in cheesecloth a week ago, let it sit in the fridge on a cooling rack so air could get all around it. It's less than a week until Christmas Eve and exactly a week until Christmas, so you still have time to do this. And ultimately, if you only have it wrapped in cheesecloth and drying out, remember it lost nearly a half a pound of weight in that time. But even if you can do it for only 2, 3, or 4 days, it'll still help it. So good. Give it a try. Happy holidays from everybody here at BuQeye Barbecue to you and yours. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we will see you soon. Do me a favor, really quickly, if you don't mind, like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. I appreciate it. Thank you.